Warm welcome to our digital meeting. And today I'm very happy that we have Mr. Jayesh, young IT engineer working in MNC. He enrolled last year in August 2019 and right now successfully completed his 3 CAP module exam, average 70% plus, and he aims to complete his certification by January 2021. He works in Mumbai, but right now he's in his native place doing work from home in Kerala. So, congratulations, Jayesh, for successfully completing your last exam, RAIP, first attempt 75% plus with A grade.
Thank you so much for that, sir. And I would like to thank you for the credits as well as for the mentoring aspect. So yeah, I mean, looking forward for the certification.
We have a twin objectives of digital meeting. One is your friend, family, colleagues, and client is aware about your new journey of learning about CAP certification, and secondly, those aspiring CAP like you, young engineers. They can also inspire with this digital meeting. So I request you can start with your introduction, and then we'll take it forward for another 25 to 30 minutes.
Sure. So myself, Jayesh, as sir told, I'm basically someone who is working in a techno finance role since a few years. I've been lucky to be in the Mumbai and to be part of the IT domain where I have exposure to both IT as well as finance. So I was basically into the core IT domain when I joined into the firm, but slowly, due to the processes and due to the uh, products involved in those things, I was able to determine that there is something called the finance aspect. The entire finance domain was explored, and due to which my interest grew uh, briefly. Following that, I spent a lot of time basically in understanding the derivative market. I realized that I have a lot of uh, things which I can learn because I had interest in mathematics. So I could relate and I could learn a lot of aspects. I had a lot of professional courses learning the derivative market and realizing the potential of that for a retail investor as well as for someone who aims to create some money from the derivative market. Anyway, like that was one aspect. But apart from that, I also had a genuine interest in personal finance, and I've always went through like YouTube videos, read a lot of books on personal finance. But I realized soon that I need a professional certification or a professional course which could help me to uh, gain some credibility. Like when I talk to some of my uh, potential folks who can help me with probably a business in future. So that would be something which I can look forward a potential professional certification. So that is when I realized that I need to do CFP certification. And yeah, I mean that is pretty much about me. I'm still working in the IT firm, and I'm still learning a lot of aspects in both finance as well as IT.
Good, very good. So thank you very much for joining in digital meeting. And I request our YouTube viewer, in case if you're not subscribed our YouTube channel, you can subscribe and press bell icon to receive regular updates about the new video. So Jayesh, you completed your engineering, started your journey as an engineer into technology, and then you moved to techno finance role. Okay, so if you divide your learning journey of finance into two parts, because if I'm right, you completed your engineering almost 8 years before in 2012 or 13, which year?
2012.
2012. So 8 years is completed. So if we divide, one is pre-CAP journey and second is the post-CAP journey. So as a young professional, what kind of mistake you realized here when you completed 1 year right now in training and successfully completed 3 exams? So what were the mistake you identified? Okay, this was it was a mistake because of lack of personal finance knowledge, and what kind of mistake you have corrected in last 1 year journey?
Okay, so so you're talking about the personal impact for like within finance, like after learning CFP modules, like you're talking about the personal impact which it had on me, or is it like more related to the syllabus or the CFP exam?
Right now, I am talking about the your personal benefit, because as you have started your journey last year in August 2019, I can say almost uh, 12 13 months is completed. So in 12 13 months, which kind of a mistake you found, what you did in past because of lack of knowledge in last 7 years from 2012 to 2019, and then you decided to correct that mistake, or you basically uh, ensure that that mistake cannot must not repeat in the future.
Yeah. So one major aspect I would want to tell you is the time which I had spent when I was not doing like I was not enrolled before this. So as I told you, like I had interest in finance and I had spent a lot of time in the derivatives market. I created strategies. I tried to automated the code to like create some profit, and like developing the script, testing it, checking with people whether it works or not, back testing it. Spent a lot of time figuring out whether this would work or not. And I realized that I was making hardly like any amount of money considering the amount of time which I have lost. So I realized that it's rather uh, spending more amount of time, because time is precious as of now, to the derivatives which I have explored, and a market which is comparatively relatively dynamic. Like if you observe the market, there is something called like uh, the automated strategies or the algorithmic trading which is happening, and recently it's quite difficult for a retail investor to get into the shoe and like make money from the derivative market. So I realized that I was spending a lot of time. This was one of the major aspects. I immediately quit the market and spent my focus on something else, some building something which is sustainable. Like over the long term, I can look back and see, yeah, I mean, yeah, this is something which is useful. I can say that even after 5 years or 10 years, I have a CFP certification, rather than saying that I used to like follow the derivatives market a year back or 5 year back. That has no impact. Like that is something which I wanted to tell. Second aspect is the like the basically the focus on the retirement goal. Like I realized that like even though like some of my relatives were already retired or like were about to retire, they were either receiving pensions, or they had some source of money, but the amount or the wealth wasn't being correctly utilized to like extract the maximum returns as they expect, or they as they desire, because according to them they were of the belief that they could only receive a marginal amount of return from the type of products which they have invested. So some of the products which was unfamiliar was explored. Because of this, I was able to help them to like navigate the possible potential returns which they could have if they switch their existing products to a different one. And basically a lot of them genuinely thanked me for that. So this was one of the personal impact which I could make to some of my relatives and friends.
Good,
Yeah, these are the major impact for
good,
personally.
good, very good. So I would like to summarize one important thing. That today, many young professionals, those who are in their 20s, 30s, unknowingly they end up with the investing their lot of time into a day trading strategy or future and option strategy. And we have seen that when you measure your return on investment and return on also time investment in a 10 years 15 years basis, you realize that it is always a negative. Okay, so Jayesh smartly decided to exit from that market, and since last 12 13 14 months he is investing some amount of time, example average 3 hours per day or 20 hours per week, in learning the personal finance, which help him to be a better, or you can say more wise and logical investor. As well as he has shared that he has helped some of his friend, colleague, relatives, or some of the senior citizen in his family to optimize their post-retirement income. You decided to do a CFP certification. Okay, there were two broad options was there. One was this self-study, second was the coaching. So why you opted for coaching instead of self-study? And second, let me discuss this question right now. Then once you decided to coaching, why you have opted for 3x time investment and 3x money investment with Keyur Shah versus the any other independent faculty or education provider where you can do it with X time investment and X money investment?
Yeah, it's a very good question because if you understand like from a layman's point of view, like when you are new, you are actually misleaded or you basically do not have aware of what the market is and what the study mode looks like. We just have the reviews. Like if you, as a normal person, you would just Google and see what CFP is and just check the reviews from someone who has already enrolled in CFP or who has already spent time. So I got a mixed review. Like some were telling that CFP is difficult, some were telling that okay, these are the type of questions, and basically for someone who doesn't has a formal CFP exam and formal connections, like I did not had friends who had CFP, so it was difficult for me to choose like what should I choose, because I personally I'm an engineering student, and I know the importance of having like prepared notes, because if you, even in the engineering, like you will receive a lot of books, and even if after learning a lot of books, it's not necessary that you will clear the exam. And more often, like the clearing of the exam was not the only objective. My objective was to, like as I told you, like in case if I need to have a future potential like profession, like if in case if I do not want to do my full time 9 to 5 job, then I can think of something professionally, and like for that I need to have a bit more of knowledge and exposure rather than just completing the degree for the sake of it. So that's when I realized I need to have some professional certification. And like obviously, like when I went through the reviews, the YouTube videos and all, like I saw a lot of folks who had enrolled CFP with Keyur, and like of course I was also initially skeptical of like whether I should join or not, like because it's extremely difficult to understand based on YouTube reviews, and because like in today's terms, like everyone is almost like posting advertisements and trying to promote their products, so it was extremely difficult. But what I did was I personally visited him. I spent an hour or couple of hours with him to check whether this person was genuine. I spoke to some of the folks whom he has already trained. Besides that, I realized that like initially when I had joined into the course, I realized that he was also like a CFA charter, like he has completed the CFA exam, and I realized that he was also adding that amount of knowledge which he had learned from CFA, and of course he has this successful business. So he was actually like adding multiple things into this particular course within the CFP. So even though the course is like restricted to uh, like 4 or 5 modules, like if you do it in a self-study mode, you will just be knowing those 4 to 5 things, and that too in the self-study mode, you would be just able to grasp around 30 to 40% of the aspects of the actual financial domain. Because if you talk to people, if you talk to investors, if you talk to customers, that amount of knowledge is insufficient. And once I realized that, like, because after I enrolled, sir, I realized the knowledge which he had. I mean, he shared almost everything, which he has almost a decade year of experience. So he shared what he has learned over the period of time. He shared his mistakes. He shared his successful participant stories, and also he is also kind of champion in the CFP because he is in this industry for a long time. So that kind of thing helped me, and that's when I realized that yeah, I mean, I've not made a mistake. I essentially, like, I should be part of like Keyur sir, and um, of course the motivation which he sends, like to put in more amount of time, because his goal was not just to clear the exam, to put in more time, the practical applications, to talk to people, to like make a change in their life, like see how much profit they are realizing after we change their asset allocation, or if we just tell them what the mistakes are making. So those things are the practical aspects which we will miss if we do it in the self study mode. And I like would recommend, like, of course you should have a mentor, and of course someone like user who has a strong background and ethics would definitely help you to clear the exam, as well as be like expertise in that domain.
Okay, thank you, Jayesh. I understand that whenever any participant decide to join, definitely there are concerns are there, but objective is that if you commit yourself with time investment, okay, once you have decided to join with Keyur, that is the first decision you took. But second is very important that you need to invest quality time, because I have seen that many participants after joining with me, they could not complete because of lack of investing quality time. So when you invest quality time, where Jayesh is investing quality time, where Jayesh did quality practical application, so which help him to complete the examination at first attempt and even score the A grade in the exam 75% plus. And Jayesh, you will surprise that today, as I get a feedback from FPSB, from the market about the general result of the module exam, on average, one student out of five students pass at first attempt with average C grade. Okay, and two or three students, on average, second or third attempt out of 10, four or five students pass at average C or B grade. But in our case, the student, those who are going with the quality preparation, okay, they get on average first attempt with B grade or A grade. In your case you got, okay, and on average our pass percentage is 50% plus. So more important is about the basically learning the principle, process, concept, and how this learning this concept, principle, process we apply in the practical life. And once we have completed 360-degree learning, one is the subject learning and second is the practical application, automatically we get a confidence to get the better result. Okay, so Jayesh, you completed you started your journey in August 2019, okay, and completed your training in December 2019, almost close to 10-11 months before. You attended the video lectures even though you were in Mumbai. Definitely you attended the 1 3 day full day workshop last year. So what is your feedback about the live recorded classroom training workshop?
Yeah, I mean, so for the video lecture, like I would like to give like few points. So like the basic aspect is like you can like pause and like play and rewind it as many times as you want. This is one of the important aspect, like whenever calculations are involved, because if you are with someone and try to solve a particular question, it is likely possible that you would like try to do it 2 or 3 times and still not be able to determine why that number came. So it would be like 1.34 lakh, but why is that 1.34 lakh? So at that times, like when you rewind the video lectures, like you would be able to determine like quite fairly, like by rewinding it once or twice maximum. That is the basic aspect. But apart from that, like what I would see is that like sir actually records the video from an actual class which he had taken previously for the previous students. So there was a lecture actually which was conducted for the previous students, and this was not this is basically a lecture which was conducted specifically for them. So what happens is like theoretically, like whatever questions they would ask would also be the questions which you might be thinking to ask. So in a way, like even though you are sitting at home, you would be having your answers solved, because at the end of the day, even those participants are asking those questions which we would be having doubt. Because in general, I think my video had around 5 participants. So the questions which I had in my mind, that were the exact questions which those people had as well. So that was one of the important aspects. And apart from that, like one important aspect is like the detail in which the topics are covered. So the topics, like as I told you before, the topics in the syllabus part is like comparatively very small. Like you can just like complete one paragraph and try to attempt that particular module. But like I'll give you an example, like for child insurance which we have. So sir told me that like how child insurance can be exploited, like how like in the general market when you meet with agents, giving me an example, like instead of purchasing insurance for the like for the person who would be the caretaker of child or the guardian, like agents would missell the insurance by selling it in the name of the child. So those kind of exceptions and those kind of anomalies would also be explained, and those are like real time examples we can like directly relate it. And we like I remember this because this came in the exam, and that's why I also could score mark just because of this particular exam. So those are the important aspects. And apart from that, video lecture is just one part. As I told you, like I mean, of course there is this mentorship or the help apart from the video lecture. So like this is just one aspect of the video lecture. So I never felt that I should visit personally just to clarify my doubts, because essentially everything was getting resolved either by phone or by looking at the video one or two times. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend everyone to like at least try to see what the video lecture looks like, and it's definitely promising for like at least for me.
Okay, thank you very much. So uh, now, as I always focus about the practical application, because I firmly believe that when you are learning, okay, so subject expertise you are going to get when you go through the video lectures or solve your subject queries through telephonic discussion, or even right now you can do it through Zoom meeting. But when you complete the 360-degree learning, when you do a practical application, so uh, Jayesh, can you share your brief experience? Because you completed almost 1 year, so how did you find practical applications, and what are your key takeaways to become a more quality professionals, even in getting a better grade in the examinations?
Yeah, so in terms of practical applications, I would say that like since I am at the age of someone who would have a fairly established career, as well as person who would be in the like the big initiating a family. So I had friends who were in the similar background. So I got the opportunity to talk to them and tell them the importance of financial planning. So I immediately became their favorite in the tax planning aspect, like because I could just tell them like these are the products available for you to save tax, and like I kind of became the to be person. Like I can just be reached out, and I like directly or indirectly got a lot of folks who would just reach out to me because of this particular application. And apart from that, like a lot of guys in my age range are house loan, like home loan. They have like either taken unnecessarily loan or they are planning to take a loan. So I was able to like help them to tell that the importance of loan, of how that could block their potential um, cash flows, and also whether it's actually necessary, because most of them are actually taking a loan based on their like family pressure, or either uh, like in a dilemma, like they are actually not aware of the possible consequences. So I was able to tell them, like guide them of the possible ways which they can use the amount of cash which they have, and also help some of my folks to like reduce their interest rates and save some amount in the outstanding loan. But apart from that, like one particular example, like classic example which I wanted to give you is for one of my friend. So this particular friend of mine is already working in my firm, and is already in the firm like since last 4 or 5 years. And when I asked him what is the amount of savings he had, so he said that he had none savings, and he had almost like negative credit in his name for in terms of his net worth. So I told him, I like told him the importance of financial planning, and basically stressed him out the importance of the systematic investment, and like told him the like asked him his objectives, like what are his plans. He had a lot of things actually in his mind. He had a clear vision of what he wanted in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but there was no one to guide him. So when I talked to him, I created an informal financial planning for him. And the thing important to be noted is, like after an year or so, like when I talk to him now he has around like 4.5 lakh amount of amount in his investment, like his total amount compared to previous year. And what when I asked him like where this amount used to go, he had no clue of where this amount was actually going. Like rather than like he honestly he was spending a lot of amount in parties and unnecessary luxury items, which generally people in our age do, and it's quite normal. But once force SIP was initiated based on his needs, and when I told him that your this particular need would be completed, your this particular objective would be completed in 3 years, 5 years, and when he was able to see that his his goal is almost nearby and he has already achieved like 10, 20 or 40% of the goal, he was quite happy. And like those kind of things, I mean, forget the fact that he saved money, but that is something he would never forget. And he I mean, just because of this thing, like he now trusts me so much that like he has more trust on me than his employer. Like that is the kind of trust which you can create if you are thorough with your knowledge, and if you are confident of uh, the type of products available and the type of things available for investors, rather than being a normal agent and misguiding or like actually just selling products. So these are a couple of things which like practically helped me
Good.
in my day-to-day life.
Very good. So for benefit of uh, video participants, okay, I shared the plan prepared by the Jayesh for the friend who discussed right now. So Jayesh, I request you can quickly explain so your friend, colleague, relative can come to know yes, you are competent to prepare the comprehensive financial plan as per their need.
Yeah. So this was for one of my friend. He was into the IT, and he was actually like involved in the family stuff, and like he had his family, his daughter and his wife, and he had a lot of things outstanding. He had personal credit, he had a home loan, he had a good decent salary, but he wasn't aware of how to meet those objectives and how to complete those things in the future. Only thing he had in his mind was IT is stressful and he wanted to retire early. So he told me that he wants to retire by 45, and he was willing to put in as much money as he can in his outstanding loans as well as in investments. But he wasn't familiar with someone who could guide me. So I told him that okay, we can break down these things into two or three aspects. So one is the daughter's education. So I told them that the preschool expenses which he had for his daughter Krisha, I told them we can split that into two. So one is till 4, she would be having a preschool expenses, and from 4 or like from after 4 to till the age of 17, she would be having formal education. So we split that because both of them have different costs. So like I asked him the inputs of the total expenses which is being carried out in preschool as well as the formal education. So I carried out the calculations. He also told me about the possible marriage expenses at the age of 25. So that came around 5 lakh. He also had this major outstanding loan. He had a huge loan with him, and the main objective was his early retirement at the age of 45. And also he didn't had any insurance, and he wasn't actually aware of a thing called insurance and its benefits. I mean, though he knew insurance, but he wasn't aware that insurance could be used for family protection and for the possibility of completion of goal in case of his absence. So I told him certain assumptions, like I guided him the inflation, the importance of life expectancy. He wasn't aware that okay, I have to have like the importance of pension. Like the private firms do not have pension. I told them those aspects. He didn't have financial assets. I took his monthly expenses at that particular time at the age of retirement, and also the outstanding loan which he had, the interest rate, all inputs I took. I told him the importance of liquid funds, hybrid funds, equity returns, and all. So then I came to the preschool expenses. So what I did was I took the preschool expenses which he had for 3 years. I carried out the present value, like computed the present value based on the current term inflation and the liquid fund returns. So I was able to determine that the present value is around um, 1.28 lakhs, which if he has I mean, which if he convert that into an SIP format, he would be having to invest around 4,000 every month. And this is something which he can withdraw at that time as well. So at the age of 2.53 and 4, he can withdraw. And if he put in the amount parallel to that, he would be able to complete this particular goal. Second was the financial planning for his formal education for his daughter. So formal education, as I told him that the educational expenses, we should consider at least the 8% inflation, and the current cost is around 1.35 lakh as per him. So I took that expenses and I basically split that into two windows. So the age of 1 to 5 and then the age of 5 to 17, of how we can split that into two aspects. So 1 to 5 would be just investing without withdrawal. After that, there would be investing as well as withdrawal every year. So I computed the present value based on real rate and was able to determine that he needs around 26 lakhs as a present value. So he said that he is able to like squeeze out 15,000 from his personal savings as of now. So I told him that okay, you can invest that in an asset for the coming years, and once that is invested and once that grows to an amount, we can subtract that from the original amount which is needed, and uh, from that we will be able to determine the SIP needed after 3 or 4 years. So that amount came to be 8.6 lakh, and we subtracted that amount from the formal educational expenses, and that's when I came with an amount 17,000. So this is the monthly amount which he would need to SIP after that, like 4 years, uh, till the age of 17. When if he completes that particular SIP, he would be able to establish, or he would be able to complete the expenses for formal education, parallel to withdrawing like yearly amount of 1.35 lakh, which is inflation adjusted. So that is something which I told that he needs to invest every year, every month. So this the next thing is the marriage expenses. So this he told that marriage expenses are comparatively, he wasn't planning for a big marriage. So I told him that based on this is because this is a long term investment, we can invest this in an equity fund and like try to like uh, extract a 12% return. So I told them like if because you know the amount and the potential like window of investment. So I just told him that hardly an SIP of 2,000 would be enough, because this is a long term investment, and over the period of time, 12% would be compounded, and at the age of 25, this would be enough for, I mean, for the marriage goal. So this was one of the aspects. And the next aspect was the retirement thing, which the outstanding goal. So for the outstanding, yeah. So for the outstanding goal, I told him that he has 160 months more remaining to due the, I mean, to complete the payment for the outstanding loan. I told him that like that he always had a worry that he doesn't want to wait to complete the payment, or doesn't want to put in EMI for every month. So I told him that there is an option to prepay, like if he has surplus amount with him. So I computed, and the amount came to be around 80,000. So if he because he had enough surplus, he told. So if he aims to invest around 80,000 every month, like within 3 years, it was possible to eliminate that particular loan and to be debt free, possibly potentially. So
Good.
this was one thing, and the next, yeah, and the next was the retirement goal. So as I told you, he was worried about the role which he had and the stress related to this. So he told that he's able to invest now so that he can retire early. So I computed the age at he wants to retire, and based on his life expectancy, around like 63,000 was the amount which he would have to withdraw at the age of 45. So based on the calculations involved, I was able to determine the amount which is required at the age of 45. Based on the real rate of return, the amount came to be around 2.45 crores at the age of 45. And accordingly, like because this is a long-term investment, I told him that if he puts in an like if without any like a linear SIP, like if he is able to put in like 45,000, he would be able to achieve this particular goal. I also gave him the option that if he is not able to put in 45,000, he can like use increasing SIP, the concept where we can increase the SIP by a specific percentage. So that amount came to be around 25,000. So I also gave him that option, and he was quite happy with this, and at least he was aware of what's happening with him. The last thing was the insurance planning. So based on all these things, I told him that the biggest risk which he had was the lack of insurance, because he was actually worried of taking an insurance because of the mis-selling and malpractices involved with it. So I was able to determine the exact amount of around 1 crore. I told him that the amount of insurance which he has, or the coverage which he has with the employer, is not sufficient, and he has to take an explicit coverage of around 1 crore based on all these expenses combined together. And yeah, I mean, so this was the thing for insurance. And yeah, I mean, quite it was quite helpful for him, and it was actually an eye opener for him. He wasn't uh, aware of these things. So yeah, this was helpful for in that way.
You have thoroughly prepared the one of the basic handwritten financial wellness plan for your friend. I am sure that he is benefited with the clarity about the inflation adjusted corpus required, what is the per month SIP required to achieve the goal. Okay, so now to discuss further, so what is the one key message you would like to give to a investor community, maybe your friend, colleague, relative, or the potential investors?
I mean, for the investor community, I would say that it's extremely difficult to find an honest person who would be able to help you. So like you would see a lot of people who would be selling you products, and I was more able to relate to this because after completion of at least the CFP modules, when I talk to the mid agents or the intermediates, I was able to realize that there is a lot of discrepancies going on, and it's extremely difficult to find someone who is honest and who can help you with your goals. The main aspect I would want to tell to the investor community is like India is still comparatively uh, a market which is yet to be explored because the equity markets are comparatively new. So there is a lot of potential available for us in the long term. You guys might be knowing that the real rate of return in India is still high compared to other countries. However, like there are a lot of other aspects which, as I told you, because being in the country where markets are just evolving, there are a lot of ambiguities and a lot of things which you might not be aware of, and which without the help of someone honest and someone experienced with these kind of things, it's highly possible that you guys would make mistake and would spend a lot of amount of money and time in invalid or incorrect products, and ultimately like resulting in a lot of losses. So I have I mean, like to give you an example, like I have like, I mean, because in my age range, I mean, even after knowing the possibility of a loss of 80% times in the FNO trading, I still have friends who are pretty much confident, and the possible the only reason because of this is due to the false marketing. So if you open like YouTube, or if you open the media or the advertisements available, you would see that okay, create 10 times wealth or create 100 times like 2x returns in the next 10 years or next 5, like the products would be designed in such a way that you would be quite tempted to pay money. And most of these products are like garbage. Actually, they have no regulations, they have no license being backed out, and like some of these are like forex trading, FNO trading. There are a lot of Ponzi schemes available where you would be just spending money, and specifically due to this COVID time, like it's extremely difficult to make money. You would see a lot of friends and like even the friends who are near to you, the relatives and friends, they would try to come to you with some innovative product saying that this would fetch you this amount of money. So I mean, I would just request you to ask uh, the credentials of that person, of of who exactly is promising those returns, the source of the returns. So because these kind of questions are generally never asked to the person who brings forth us with the products, and also more importantly, like how exactly is he promising the return. So they would uh, just come up with a number, 50,000, 1 lakh, or any kind of random number. So you have to determine and like basically test whether the person who is promising you that return is trustworthy. So these kind of things are very difficult to determine at the face value. That's why you need someone who is responsible, who is like ethically obliged, and who has some professional credentials, so that you don't make mistakes and you don't waste time.
So if I summarize, Jayesh would like to share that it is very important that first you need to construct your customized comprehensive financial wellness plan. So once you know what are your short-term goal, medium-term goal, long-term goal, what are your need-based goal, what are your wants-based goal, then you come to know about the risk profiling, okay, and then you do a proper asset allocation. And if you do a systematic investing, okay, whether you do a systematic investment in debt market or equity market, but when you do systematic investment with qualified and professional guidance, Okay, so chances that you may have a lower return, okay, because we are optimizing risk and optimizing return. So there is a uh, optimum return is there, but there is a no worry of losing capital in the long term, as well as we can generate the corpus to achieve our financial goal, whether it is for our children's higher education or marriage or retirement. So where we gave example, Jayesh constructed the plan. So that person who is your friend, if he could be doing this kind of activity, he must be not interested because that emotion is gone. Now logic has come. It is like that, okay, you have either good habit or bad habit. So someone has a bad financial habit because of lack of education. So they can connect with Jayesh, okay, or any qualified and experienced certified financial planner practitioner. And basically, objective is to replace the bad habit with the good habit. Okay, so when you replace the bad habit with the good habit, and when you become more logical and wise investor and less emotional investor, okay, you don't like to do all this thing, because end of the day, I can say in other word, logical and wise investors or people may not like to go for even any kind of normal bad habit like smoking, drinking, etc., because they know that, okay, I am spending money every month, as well as there is a high probability of some critical illness after 10-15 years. So why I should make unnecessary loss? Okay, good, very good. So Jayesh, you are young professionals, I can say, into technology and finance. So, what are your future plans after completing your CFP certification? If you see yourself, where do you see yourself after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later?
Honestly, like in the short term, I haven't decided. Like I have few things like family aspects as well as professional responsibilities which I need to take care of. So in the short term, like 2 to 3 years, I haven't decided. But however, because I have like would have a professional CFP certifications, first of all, like my finances are sorted. So like in the next 10 or like odd years, I would have enough corpus to like pursue my secondary hobby or pursue my full-time career apart from the normal career which I have because I have a lot of interest personally. So that is one thing. Apart from that, like if I want, I can like as I told you, like I can pursue the career as a CFP professional as well as because I know that India is a huge market. There is a lot of potential available because of the population. We have an advantage of number of people. This is purely a numbers game. A lot of people involved. There would be a lot of future potential returns because of the equity market being still evolved and also like basically like helping people, so that gives a different satisfaction. So that is one of my long term aspirations. Apart from that, like 15 years down the line, I'm pretty much confident that I won't be doing my normal job, and I would be full time pursuing my hobbies. So I have like two or three hobbies. So I'll be just like enjoying my like you can say that it would be kind of retirement. But like these things were possible only because of efficient planning, because planning entails that you can optimize the returns and like maximize the returns in the available time window. So 10 to 15 years is quite a huge window. And if you have your finances sorted, like in 15 years down the line, you can do a lot of major aspects. Like you can like this particular certification also entails like to have passive income. So this is also one of my possible uh, hobby which I would pursue in the future. So yeah, these are the basic things. But in the short term, I have a lot of things which are going on. So pretty much like reevaluating things and will be clarified in 2 or 3 years.
Good, very good. So I understand at this juncture there are need of basically continuing the professional career. But as you mentioned that in a down the line 10-15 years, if you create such a sizable corpus, okay, so that corpus, even if it gives you a 50-60% of inflation adjusted monthly income of that time, so you are confident to pursue your hobbies, so that hobbies can help you to generate the balance income also, and also that independent career will help you to basically celebrate the post retirement life in early age, or do fulfill our hobbies and aspiration about the our life. So I thank you very much, Jayesh, for joining with us in digital meeting. I'm sure that last 30-40 minute discussion surely helpful to many of your friend colleague and give inspiration to construct the financial plan for their family, as well as it will give inspiration motivation to many CFP aspirant to think of doing a CFP certification for the uh, twin benefit. One, they can improve their personal finance, as well as those who are IT professional, they can learn the personal finance. It can also help them into getting a better job profile, or get a better double domain expertise can help them to get a better income also. Okay, so I am happy that right now Jayesh is also a volunteer commenter with us and is helping three new CFP friend in their journey also. Okay, so I thank you very much, and I'm sure that we will have one more digital meeting in maybe first week of January, or once you complete your CFP certification, to celebrate the complete journey of CFP certification.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And I mean, it's always I always get to learn something new from you. So I'm looking forward to talk to you in the coming months and possibly like gain knowledge and share more knowledge with you. So thanks again for your time.
Yes.